Trophied up. Yeah. Hey, do yo. Trophied up. Yeah. Hey, do yo. Trophied up. Do your dance when the G's up. G. Spaced out, got me geeked up. 10 toes on the west, can I beat us? You cannot. Shining every time they meet us. Rack them up, since 96. Yeah. Been number one in LA, something slight, that's the gist.
Hello, everyone. This is the After El Tráfico Hangover podcast / therapy venting session. And today I'm joined by none other than Galaxy Runs LA. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Apart from the atrocious loss, disaster class, whatever you want to call it, I'm doing good. We got some good news coming out today. It just seems like this podcast is just bringing good vibes. Every time I have a podcast, it's a new player.
Yeah.
Last week it was Taylor, and today Furuhashi. I have to learn how to say his name. You know how to say it?
Don't even want to try. I don't even want to try.
I'm going to call him Kyogo. That's easier.
Yeah, Kyogo. New signing for the LA Galaxy in case you missed it. And yeah, you are right. Pretty much every time the LA Galaxy make a signing is the day that we have a podcast. So you could bank on that next EP being next Tuesday, and then we'll be able to talk. You know what? It's most frustrating when it's the day after a podcast. That always riles me up when we have like huge news and we're like just dying to talk about it and we can't even do that. Anyway, I hope I'm not lagging here. Tab, I think we have a soccer game to cover here. I think we have a match that the LA Galaxy played in. One of the matches that we played in for sure. Let me make sure. I think Tab's glitching here.
I am.
Tab, tap in. Okay. Yeah, one of the matches of all time. One of the matches in LA Galaxy history. We lose 3-0 to LAFC at home.
Yeah,
it is the first time that the Galaxy have lost to LAFC in El Tráfico at Dignity Health Sports Park in a non-protest year. Obviously, they beat us, I believe it's 2023 at Dignity Health Sports Park during the fan protest. So, that for all intents and purposes, for our purposes, it doesn't count. For the record books can say it counts. This is really the first time that the Galaxy have lost to LAFC at home in front of a full crowd, in front of a full Angel City Brigade. And if you've been paying attention to our podcast the past couple of weeks, I think we've been trying to let you know that this was bound to happen. This is something that I believe a lot of people will attribute to Greg Vanney and his poor tactics, his stale tactics, his bad coaching. I blame this game on Wilkins personally. And I think he knows that. I think he knows that the moves that they had to make prior to this match, like selling Gabriel Peck to Cruzeiro, playing on one designated player before an El Tráfico, would leave the Galaxy in a position where they could drop a game like this. And
there's like low battery, and then
in my personal opinion, I think that look, I believe that people were trying to make Greg Vanney turn ice water soup and a package of Albertsons meatballs into a 4-course meal here. LAFC on paper were significantly better, and it played out like that on the pitch. For as much flack as I've given Greg Vanney, and for as much as maybe his time is up at LA Galaxy, maybe it's ran its course with him, is a different discussion. I don't think that discussion pertains to this game. I believe that this game is largely on the shoulders of Will Kuntz. And Joseph Paintsil is another conversation. I love Paintsil as a person, but the fact that this is 7th El Tráfico now, I want to say maybe 6th, and he doesn't have a goal. He doesn't have a goal in El Tráfico, and he is our one designated player that we had for this game. And it was kind of weird. He played off the right, which is a more comfortable position, And I think he thought he was Gabriel Peck with the skill moves, but it wasn't playing out very well for Mr. Joseph Paintsil there. He was trying to have the technical ability of Gabriel Peck, and he doesn't have it. Now, Paintsil has a lot of things. He has speed. He has other things. All right. A lot of it's speed, but at least as of recently, I would argue in 2024 that he was better than Gabriel Peck in 2024, especially when it came down to the playoffs. I think he was a lot more lethal. Obviously, Peck wins newcomer of the year. But, overall, I think Paintsil needs to play to his strengths. And maybe you could blame that on Greg Vanny, and that's fine. If you want to criticize him on that, sure. I think JT Marcinkowski starting this match wouldn't have changed much at all. I've noticed people saying things about the goalkeeper situation. JT was coming off of an injury, didn't really practice all week. So this wasn't something that was entirely unexpected. But yeah, I don't know if I agree with the fact that he needs to go now, but I could maybe get on board with the fact that he needs to receive his fair share of criticism, especially when he's the one designated player for the Los Angeles Galaxy, the biggest club in Major League Soccer. And
I'm good now.
Okay, cool. All
right. I'm good. I'm moving good.
Yeah.
So basically what happened was my computer is basically almost dead, and I am streaming from a different location currently. And I was trying to charge it, but I don't think the charger was keeping up with my movement and all that stuff. I'm good now, though.
Okay, perfect. Tab, I was basically just talking about the fact that Will Kuntz gave Greg Vanny no cards to play with in this game. LAFC had some losses of their own in terms of they had some people are out with injury. They sold a player, I believe, before this match. And that they still have way more depth than the LA Galaxy do. And the Galaxy did not give Will Kuntz did not give Greg Vanny a good hand. And as much as people want to blame him for this match, this for me goes more on Will Kuntz and the fact that selling Gabriel Peck and not bringing in a replacement before this match kind of leaves this as a possibility. And it felt like the worst case scenario. It felt like a nightmare, but it happened. LAFC dominate and win 3-0 at Dignity Health Sports Park. What did you see from this?
Yeah, we sat here last week and the week before that saying this game is set up to be, one of the worst El Tráficos, not only because of, both teams' lack of depth, but especially LA Galaxy. I mean, we're talking about one of the worst LA Galaxy rosters going into El Tráfico. Obviously, last year, and some of the games, Paintsil was out through injury, and we had only one DP because Peck was the only one playing. And even in 2023, I mean, that roster is pretty bleak. We had probably one center back in the whole roster. We had Kevin Leaderdam playing center back, and, we still managed to pull through. But this is a whole nother level of just a thin roster. Like, we haven't seen this before. Having one DP and Joseph Paintsil, and he didn't have a good game himself either, so he didn't make himself anything better. And then you had Marco Reus at the 9, and he wasn't doing great either. So I mean, it was tough. We don't have many attackers, and obviously the likes of Tommy going down injured in the first 20 minutes, that didn't help at all. I mean, we had to get Harvard Miller into the game early, which then led to Ruben Ramos Jr. getting in later in the game. And when Ruben Ramos Jr. is on the field, you just know it's set for a disaster class, because personally I don't think he's at that level yet. Not just because of our deal. It's getting close, by the way. I think we're within 15 minutes or something, and if he gets over that,
I want to say like 17.
Yeah, so it's getting close, and I think when the roster is so thin and you get injured, just another injury out of nowhere, it just doesn't help the case. So it was a rough game. I was not the game because I had work on Friday. I didn't get off till 5, and then it's a 2-hour drive to the digs, and it was just not worth it, especially with the sold out crowd. So. I almost set a timer for 30 minutes. After the 60-minute mark, I set that timer, and I was just going to turn the TV back on to make the full-time post. But I didn't think the Galaxy deserved a full-time post. I just posted some sad meme thing, and I just called it a day.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating because I think, as much as we want to be believers and back the history of the fact that the Galaxy don't lose at Dignity Health Sports Park in these El Traficos, as much as you want to back that history before these matches. And we had some, blind optimism. If you looked at reality and, you saw what the Galaxy were about to field on paper and you looked at that bench, I think I said this last podcast too. If you're losing this game, who are you looking to on the bench to change this? And I love Ruben Ramos Jr. for the bet. But let's be honest, if he is the guy to come off the bench in an El Trafico match, you've probably got bigger issues with your squad. And that reflects it as a whole. Just not trying to trash on him. I think he is a good young talent who could end up doing great things in his career and probably great things in a Galaxy kit if he's able to break through. I know it's kind of difficult as a prospect to break through for the Galaxy. And, wish him nothing but the best as a Galaxy player. It's tough. It's tough. These are the type of games where you need. Look at LAFC. They bring Jeremy Abobasi off the bench, and we bring Ruben Ramos Jr. off the bench. Like what a luxury to be able to bring Tyler Boyd and Jeremy Abobasi off the bench in a match that you're already winning 2-0 in. You could throw the academy kids, and they did. They threw it's 18-year-old on the field.
Yeah, Jude Terry.
Yeah,
that guy's. I played that guy in UPSL a few years back, and that guy's good, but I mean, if he's subbing on, it's kind of like it's a slap in the face, having these academy kids play on, and then you're playing your starting lineup and you're still getting smacked around. It's like, okay, it's bad.
Jude Terry doesn't come in this match if it's close, and neither does Ruben Ramos Jr., to be fair. But point being is that the Galaxy did not have the playmakers off the bench to launch an El Trafico comeback. And you had that optimism just in the back of your mind where it's like, oh, but the Galaxy always do it. It's halftime and, they obviously get the penalty, which was probably the most deflating thing to that whole match, was that penalty that honestly, looking back, probably was a penalty. If we're being honest, I ended up, but in the stadium when I was watching it, could not believe they called that. Watched it on replay and it's like, okay, yeah, I see. For as much as, LAFC do foul bait and draw penalties, that one was probably the right call there. Justin Hack just unfortunate, and then gives up the penalty. Dennis Bouanga, the pen merchant himself, converts it, of course. And yeah, all of a sudden you're in a position where you're down 2-0 going into the break. And, who are you going to bring? Nobody. We don't have the firepower. Marco Royce was playing in the false 9 position. We had nobody in the midfield that was playing good enough. Like I thought Winder didn't have a good match. Sanabria was, I like Sanabria's aggressiveness. But Cerrillo, Winder were not doing very good in this game, and we weren't progressing the ball forward much. And then when we did, it would just go to Joseph Paintcell, who thinks that he's Gabriel Peck all of a sudden, and then he just gets dispossessed. It was like watching the same thing over and over again. I was going insane. But LAFC are going to be fine. They're going to be probably a top 4 team by the end of the season in the Western Conference. But this game is very worrying from a Galaxy perspective that we rolled over. This team gave up. This team absolutely gave up. And once again, I feel like if we're in any other league, Greg Vanney and Will Kuntz are gone. Honestly, you lose an embarrassing 3-0 match off of the complete circus that 2025 was. You can blame it on injuries, but you lose a match like this, and the Galaxy are still in 9th, but can you confidently say this team's going to make the playoffs? I'm not sure. I wouldn't put money on it. We're in 9th. We can make a playing game. And especially with the right moves in this transfer window, we can maybe even make a push for 7th. But right now, as it stands, I don't think this team has what it takes. And in any other league, I think Vanney and Kuntz are gone, but we have the luxury of not having Pro Rel. But where does the pressure look like? Who do you put at fault for this kind of game, this absolute embarrassment?
It's got to be Will Kuntz. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier, I think when I timed out myself, you're talking about Will Kuntz and how he gave Greg Vanney like pretty much the worst hand in card history. this is probably one of the worst Galaxy teams I've faced an LAFC team in the past, and it showed. It showed the lack of quality in the attacking, the midfield, and even the defense. We're talking about how this defense is probably one of the deepest defenses we've ever had. When no one else performs, it all comes back on the defense. The defense can't perform for 90 minutes, just holding back, sitting back, and trying to, stop Denny Bouanga, Heung-min Son, and then Tyler Boyd came in for this game. They had Schaffelberg, who's a pretty direct attacker, and it's tough to sit back and defend those guys for 90 minutes straight, and eventually you're going to give up a goal and one back in concentration where Justin Hack clears out Denny Bouanga. And you get a goal and the game's out of your hands, 2-0. It's done. You can call off the game. You bring in Ruben Ramos Jr. because you're not getting the win because, when LAFC gets up in a game, they sit back and they stay on the counter. And when you open up for them, they're just going to come and destroy you because that's just what they do. That's what they've done their whole time in this MLS, their MLS career. So it wasn't a match that set up well for the Galaxy. So I think it's definitely a Kunso just because of the roster he gave Greg Vanny. It's like giving him, a bunch of chopsticks and, telling him, here's your roster here. Go win a game against one of the top teams in the MLS currently. And you just can't do that. So it's Will Kuntz for me. No, I can't blame Greg Vanny at all. I see people saying Vanny out because of this game, but, I don't think you can blame Vanny at all for this game.
Yeah, you can be Vanny out for other reasons. Yeah. You can be skeptical. There's plenty of reason to be skeptical of Greg Vanny. But if we're being fair, I think Will Kuntz is also on the hot seat. And this window, we'll talk about a signing that we made today that was very ambitious, very high risk from the Galaxy. We'll talk about that a bit later. But they're swinging for the fences. The DP is going to be the one that I think everybody has their eyes on. We could talk about it a bit later, but I really don't want to see the Galaxy just rinse and repeat another U23 DP and call it a day. But I have my own reasons for that. I just don't think personally. I think we need to be more ambitious. You sell Peck in a World Cup window, go get a big player. And I'm usually against that, but I think now could be the time. If there is any. LAFC just way more complete, way more well-rounded of a team. And I think if this game, funny enough, comes before the international break, I think we win. I don't know if we whoop them. I don't know if it's a resounding 3-0 victory, but I think we win. Their form was awful. Our form was all right. It was on the up. And they needed that break more than anybody. And they got it. And I'm sure they've been preparing for this match. The amount of pressure on Mark Dos Santos. And everybody on that coaching staff at LAFC, John Thorrington, needed a win like this. And it displayed on the field. It reflected. These type of things reflect. When your team needs a win so desperately and you have an El Tráfico match right after the window, they came more fired up. They came more ready. They were, from the opening whistle, they were more aggressive. They executed the game plan flawlessly in the Galaxy. It was just a lack of execution. When you go down 1-0 in this match, you go down 2-0, you have to chase. You have to open yourself up to chances. And what is probably the worst team to open yourself up against? It's LAFC. Son, Bouanga, Schaffelberg, one of the fastest wingers in MLS. It's just an awful counterattack to go against. And we weren't ready. And it reflected. This team never felt ready to play ball. And I honestly can't vividly remember any clear-cut chances. I think there was one maybe ball in the box that was half dangerous. But other than that, it was a quiet day at the office. And LAFC went in and they did the work. It's just, I understand the hype going into this El Tráfico wasn't too high, but it does disappoint me that it ended like this. It's just an embarrassing defeat. 1-0 I could stomach. 2-0, 3-0 is just a nightmare. It just doesn't feel real. But any other statements about this match?
I got a big statement here. It's about our former teammate, Mark Delgado. Obviously, he scored the first goal off a pretty lucky goal. you could say. He heads the ball into Glasses and it bounces back to him, and he gets a little tap in, and he goes into the corner and he celebrates like he just won the World Cup. He pulls out three celebrations and one goal, and he goes up to LAC and looks at them and does the Jude Bellingham. And then after the game, this is even worse. He goes to the press and he says, I have a little bit of history with them, and there's a little bit of bad blood, and that's what led him to do this celebration. And I got one thing to say here. So I will start off with the history, the backstory of this. Mark Delgado leaves the Galaxy to join LAFC, and then when LAC comes to the digs to play the Galaxy in 2025, LA Galaxy gives him the ring because he wasn't at the ring ceremony to receive it. So they record it, and Mark Delgado's obviously emotional. Played with was coached by Greg Vanney for most of his career. And LA's his home. This LA Galaxy is his hometown club, and he gets his ring, and then he gets recorded and it gets posted on social media. Mark Delgado did not give consent to this, and he was extremely mad about this because, it's an emotional moment for him. Is a close moment to his heart, and he thought it was just going to be for himself to keep to himself and his family and the LA Galaxy media. But it goes out onto LA Galaxy socials, and it gets a ton of backlash from LAC fans, and it's a pretty tough situation for him because he didn't know this was going to get posted in the first place. But anyway, that's a backstory. Then he goes and does the celebration, and in the media says there's a little bit of bad blood between him and LA Galaxy because of this moment. But my counterpoint to this is LA Galaxy, tends to sell players where they want to go. Mark Delgado wanted to stay in LA because he just bought a home. They could have shipped him off to Montreal like they did Jalen Neal back in 2023 or 2024. They could have shipped him to some random place in Canada, in the Midwest, some random club. But they said, I respect you, Mark Delgado. You were a good service to this club, and you want to stay in LA. We'll sell you to our rivals, and you can stay in LA and, keep your house. You don't have to sell it. And, it just makes it easier on his family because he's creating a life here. He goes and does a celebration, and I feel like he doesn't take into consideration what the LA Galaxy. So, this is kind of a slap in the face of LA Galaxy fans because, this is his hometown club, and doing this it's utter woke nonsense. So personally, I don't think it's in the realm of, feasibility that you should be doing this because everything that the Galaxy have given to you, 2023, we brought him in, 2024 won the cup with him, and then we sell him on because he wants to stay in LA. And he goes and does this. So, all love was lost from him. I have no respect for him anymore, and that's my spiel on it. So what do you have on it?
Yeah, I was going to reiterate the same point is Mark Delgado, sincerely, you are lucky you are not playing for the New England Revolution right now. You are lucky you are not rotting away at some low to mid-tier MLS side, and that you get to go play. You get to stay at home. You don't even have to move. And you can enjoy playing for a better situation than the LA Galaxy were at that time. Will Kuntz, for as critical as I could be of him, does one thing very well. He respects the players. He respects the players enough to say, hey, look, I don't want to trade you. Mark Delgado was an huge asset to the LA Galaxy's championship run. We don't want to trade you, but we have to. The salary cap situation sucks, and I hate that. It's like, ideally, he's on that. Ideally, Delgado's still here right now, but we don't live in that world. There's salary cap in Major League Soccer, but we'll let you pick where you want to go. You want to stay at home? We will stomach the fact that we have to send you to our bitter rivals. We'll stomach that just to make you happy. That's fine. Go play for them. You deserve it and you earned it. So he goes and plays for them. They trade him, and let's be honest, it was a generous trade. We could have gotten a lot more from Mark Delgado elsewhere. We could have sold him to freaking Hammarby. We could have sold him anywhere we wanted to. But we decided to do him a service and trade him to the team that he wanted to go to stay in Los Angeles and be close to home. Perfect. Fine. He left with respect from the fans, and he respected the club at that moment. That's how it should have stayed. I get it. I don't think this would have been an issue if LAFC fans weren't so insecure. If LAFC fans did not go out of their way to have a complete meltdown on social media over something so insignificant. Who cares? This guy won a championship with the Galaxy. God forbid he show emotion to it. To getting his championship ring, God forbid. Let him be. But they couldn't, of course. They had to have their say. They had to be insecure as they always are. And Mark Delgado was like, all right, I'm gonna back my club because he wants to be liked among the fan base. I still didn't have an issue with that. You want to be liked among LAFC fans who still don't accept him, by the way. Let's be honest. In 2 weeks' time, these fans will be calling for him to get traded anywhere. I've seen it before this game, and it'll happen after this game. They're the most emotional, reactionary fan base in all of Major League Soccer. It will happen. He will not permanently have their backing. This helps, but it won't do the job permanently. And I understand wanting to back your fans and being like, that shouldn't have been posted after an El Tráfico that they dropped points in. Let's be honest. The last home El Tráfico in 2025, they should have probably won. But that Marco Royce special free kick, I get it. Go ahead. Back yourself. Make yourself loved among the fans. This is unacceptable. This is absolutely unacceptable to me. The fans did not post that on social media. The social media team did. You have an issue with the social media team. Go sort it out with the social media team. Be mad at them. What did the fans do to you? It's an emotional fixture, sure. Have respect. Have respect for the team that gave you a championship ring. Have respect for the fact that you play with Dennis Bouanga and Heung-min Son and probably make a very deep playoff run, if not win MLS Cup. That team's stacked. Have respect for the fact that you're not rotting at Montreal with Jalen Neal. Have more respect. It's an absolute classless display by Mark Delgado. That infuriated me more than the result was the fact that I still loved and respected this guy, even though he repped them. Because of what he did for our club. The fans did not post that video. The social media team did. Have some respect. Be classy. And if he wants to play like that, then yeah, my respect's gone. I think the fan base has lost their respect for him. But anything else on that topic, Tab? Anything else?
You hit the nail. I think you said better than me. So moving on to the next point. Not all the Galaxy teams are losing to LAFC. Obviously, LA Galaxy lost to LAFC. The Special Olympics team lost to LAFC by a pretty hefty margin. But then our VCFC boys took it to LAFC 2 and beat them 2-0 at William Rollins Stadium on Saturday, the day after El Tráfico. So VCFC takes home the El Trafichicho, goals from Julian Palacios and Eric Preston. It was a pretty dominant performance over at Cal Lutheran Stadium, and they get the job done. It's good to see that the young guys are balling out. And this brings up the question. We're so low on attacking depth, and you have a guy like Julian Palacios, who was with the academy originally, and it went over to Europe, and now he's back with BCFC. Why has this guy not gotten a shot yet? We've seen the likes of Troy Elgersma get called up to the Galaxy and get minutes. Ruben Ramos Jr. is getting minutes with the Galaxy. We have a young prodigy coming through the ranks like Julian Palacios, and he hasn't got a sniff in that. I think he's got one call up for a game and he sat on the bench. He didn't get in. I wonder what the odds are of him getting in, because he looks like a really good player. He's been scoring in a ton of games for BCSC and MLS Next Pro. So, I'm not sure if you watched any MLS Next Pro with BCSC, but I think this guy's a baller, and I think he deserves a chance myself.
I honestly can't say I watched him, but I do trust that we have a good academy brewing right now. I think it's at the best spot that it's been in probably over a decade. If you want to look at the Greg Vanney project, and probably the biggest success outside of MLS Cup, it's the fact that our academy system has been rebuilt from the ground up. They've really helped shape the future of this club in a more positive direction than it was before. So I trust the prospects that are coming out of VCFC. We got guys that are getting call-ups for the U.S. youth national teams. Ruben Ramos Jr., Dylan Vanney, great prospects. Palacios is another one of them, I'm sure. So for me, I don't mind it. What harm is it going to do? What harm is it going to do if this guy gets 20 minutes? It has to be the right situation. Like, would I bring him in a match that's like tied 1-1 with 20 minutes to go? Probably not. But there are situations where, yeah, give him a look. Give him what's the harm to that? I know Dylan Vanny is going to probably end up going out on loan within the next few weeks. That will be announced. I think he should have gotten a go with the Galaxy, but I think being a consistent starter in the USL Championship will do him better than getting 15 minutes off the bench here and there, and then a whole different debate about people who are just going to be crying that it's nepotism, even though he's an incredible young prospect. Play these guys. Give them shots and the right opportunities, and I will never mind that. You'll never see me hop on here and complain about a young academy kid being given a look. Never going to see me complain unless it's like a 1-1 match or we're losing by 1 goal and need something. That's a bit risky, but if we're winning by multiple goals, if we're losing by multiple goals, give these guys a look. There's no harm in it. And yeah, they beat LAFC too. We'll raise the banner on that one. So I'm glad that they got that win. I think we needed something to take from this week, and this is one of those things where it's like we'll take wins where we could get them, because that was very painful. This was good news to see. I think the following day after, I saw Palacios field side after the game because I was doing photography for El Tráfico. Massive guy. Like, you could even see in this picture, he's pretty damn tall too, which maybe we lack up top a little bit. We lack a physical presence. We lack an aerial threat off of corners outside of our 2 center backs. So I'd be willing to give them a look. So yeah, I'm good with that. But I think you have news on another academy prospect that is getting a look somewhere.
Shifted sideways. You got Juan Martinez, or otherwise known as Mono Martinez. He recently left the Galaxy's academy, never played for VCFC. He was in the youth academy and never got called up to the second team. But he was with them playing MLS Next and playing all those tournaments with the youth academy. And he recently made the move over Querétaro over in Mexico in Liga MX. And he left 2 weeks ago. And this weekend, he made his debut for the team, coming in the 90th minute against Club America. And, it just makes you wonder, if this guy's not even playing for VCFC, like, how is that even working out if he's making a first team debut in Mexico to, not even playing in the second division in USA? Like, I'm not sure how that works, but, he looks like a professional footballer. He doesn't look like small or anything. He has a size. He looks like one. And, it'd be interesting to see how it pans out over there, because we've seen this in the past as well. You saw Alex Alcala move to Man City a few years back, and that never worked out. But then he went over to Mexico. I believe he's on the same team now with them, and he hasn't even made his debut with Mexican side. So it's just so weird. And, there's so much inconsistencies with these players not playing in the Galaxy Academy and then moving on, and then they flourish. You saw this again with Efrain Alvarez. He blossomed over in Mexico, and you also saw it with Daniel Aguirre. He went to Chivas, and he's balling out now. And Johnny Perez is over in Liga MX now with Chivas USA, or Chivas, not USA. So there's a ton of academy prospects that came through the Galaxy's pipeline and make the move to Mexico, and they just flourish. Unfortunately, we don't have any selling clause on this guy. It was just, he just wanted to move clubs. And when I was doing some research on this guy, he actually had a video on the LA Galaxy YouTube about his time with the academy. And it was super just weird seeing how the Galaxy knew this guy was going to be a prospect, and they never gave him the chance to even play with the second team. So it was super weird to me, but wish the best for Mono Martinez over in Mexico.
Yeah. Once again, I think there's a criticism to be said that maybe we don't give enough opportunity to guys like this. Is that, and maybe this is just a general thing where the academy system is so crowded that there will be guys who slip through the cracks. And Kitaro isn't a very good Liga MX team. And I think Liga MX is getting rid of promotion and relegation. If I'm not mistaken, I think that completely flopped in their league. So what's the real risk to playing a guy like this? If you're just a team that needs to bank on a future project, they're not built to compete in the present, then yeah, go lure a guy like this over from the LA Galaxy. Present a more clear pathway to the first team, which is probably what they did. People will complain that, oh, we never get compensation for these guys. Like Mathis Albert is going to be an absolute baller. He's going to be a monster by the time he's fully developed. But guys like this can just move freely. As long as one of their parents has a passport to that country, it's pretty easy to move. We managed to hold on to some kind of training fee or whatever. It's not significant. It's not a sell-on clause. We're not going to get much from this, unfortunately. When players decide that they want to join a different project, they can just get up and leave. And it's as simple as that if they have a passport. So best of luck to him in the future. And I think he will. This might be one that the Galaxy look back on and they're like, dang, maybe we should have at least given this guy a shot with VCFC. I think, I hope more so on the point where I hope this isn't what Dylan Vanney turns into, a type of thing where the Galaxy move on from him or give him, sell him to the USL Championship or something absurd. Move on, because honestly, he should be at least somewhat involved in the first team by this point, and he's not. And if there's a better project, if there's better opportunities for playing time, I don't think the Galaxy would hesitate to move him. And I just hope it's not something we look back on and we're like, dang, some of these prospects that we haven't given a clear look are balling. Look at Aaron Bibu is another one. I don't know if he grew up through the academy, but he got a couple looks here and there, but he's balling out now. He made us a pretty good sell-on clause. We managed to get a sell-on clause when we sold him. He's playing, last time I checked, at Paintsil's old club, Genk, because he was balling out in the Swedish league, I believe it was. He's bagging in goals. Maybe we're just unlucky. Maybe we get rid of these guys 1 year too early before they make that major breakthrough in their development. But I also think there is something to be said that we don't give some of these players enough of a look. I mean, Troy Elgersma, maybe he played 20 minutes, 30 minutes, never seen anything of him since. I know they see them at training on the day-to-day basis, but, game experience is huge for a young player's career. And I'm sure he's getting it at Kitaro. So best of luck to him in the future, honestly.
Yeah, and I think one of the main things that drives these young players to move on from the Galaxy is they can do whatever they want. If they don't get the contract to the Galaxy, they can move wherever they want, free of charge. If you're if you have a contract with the team, then you have to go through the whole process of transferring and having an agent and all that. He doesn't have to do that when he's not signed to a contract. So he's basically a free agent practically. He's just trained with the Galaxy Academy if you really think about it. And he gets to decide where he wants to go. And, the project over in Mexico intrigued him and he made the move. And you've seen this multiple times with other Galaxy Academy players. And it's just another one that, slipped away from us. So hopefully, like I said, doesn't come to bite us in the butt, because if you're starting, so a fun fact is this guy is the 6th youngest starter in Liga MX history to make his debut. And he signed a first-team contract with the Team Mexico, and that was the 2nd youngest player to sign a first-team contract in Liga MX history. And guess who number 1 is? Is Gilberto Mora, the prodigy over at Cholos. So he's in pretty good hands over there. So hopefully, we can watch his career with tremendous success. And who knows, maybe he'll come back to the Galaxy one day and he'll lead us to our 7th MLS Cup in the next 10 years. So, and then, so you have any more on this guy, or you good?
Yeah, I guess more of a general question in the chat is why do we always drop the ball with academy players? I know you touched on it a bit, but is this more of a general reflection of our academy system and some of the failures in it, or what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's promising that we have these guys coming out the academy. Obviously, you have 11 or you have like 25 guys in each academy team playing at the level, and then they move on. Not all 25 can make the LA Galaxy roster. Not all 25 can make the VCFC roster. So they move on, play elsewhere, and now they're playing in Mexico. So it's good to see the Galaxy, academy graduates, or not even graduates, but alumni move on and have successful careers. And I wouldn't say it's exactly dropping the ball, because you have guys coming through academy like Harvard Miller, Ruben Ramos Jr., and all these guys playing on VCFC currently that eventually will make the step up to the first team. And I think that's showing the positives, and it's more positive than the negatives. So I think it's fine personally.
Yeah. What happened with Troy? Nothing. Just not getting a look, and that is not LA Galaxy buzz. But yeah, Troy's just not getting a look right now. After he made his debut, which is like, I don't know, maybe it's a training thing. Maybe Greg Vanney doesn't fully trust him yet to get consistent minutes. But that is the theme that we've seen in recent years, until they really trust a guy like Harvard Miller to come in the 30th minute of the match for Eric Tommy. In an El Tráfico match, just insane amount of trust that we put in Harvard Miller. And he's proven to be worthy of it. He has the potential to be something very special. Where do you predict that we finish now, Tab? Let's look into crystal ball, and we're almost halfway through the season. Where do you think the Galaxy will finish?
I think when all is said and done, when we get all our players in, the DP that we'll get into eventually with the rumors that we've been hearing, I think we have the team to get, between fourth and seventh place. I think we're definitely in a good place right now. We have spots open, and the transfer window is still young. So I mean, it's still looking promising to me. So if I'm put exact pinpoint of a place, I'm gonna go fifth place. I think we're just gonna miss out on a home field, playoff match, but I think we still make playoffs. And I think we make it comfortably. So that's my prediction.
I'm gonna say seventh. I'm a little less high on this team. I think that with the right signings, like you said, it's just hard for me to forecast without faces to these names, because right now all I see is DP, a DP that we need to bring in, a U22 that we need to bring in, like it's hard to conceptualize how far the Galaxy can really go when you don't have proper assessments of who we're bringing in yet. We brought in two guys. We'll talk about the latest one in a few, but I think it's been okay. It's been an all right transfer window. I just don't know if this team, Klaus, I think the signing today honestly signals to me that Klaus is going to be not ready to fully participate in action probably till September, when he'll be ready to start again for the Galaxy. He might come back in mid-August. He might start training. He might come off the bench for a few games, but this is a long-term injury that we're talking about. It's going to be a while for Klaus, and this might signal that it's going to take longer than they expected. And maybe this is something that we should have had before in El Tráfico. But, not a factor now. I think seventh place, right on the edge, and we'll probably face, a second seed. I've just always had the feeling that this season we'll make the playoffs and get first rounded. It's just always made sense to me that this team doesn't have a high ceiling. They don't have an MLS Cup winning ceiling like 2024 did. But the floor isn't as bad as 2025. That would take a drastic shift in this season for that to be the case. So who will be the top goal scorer? I think we went over this last pod just quickly. I said Joseph Painsil.
I think I said Jack Lester. I think that's my prediction at the start of the season. I think when he gets going with Painsil and the new DP around him, I think he'll be good. But then obviously the signing of Kyogo kind of throws a spanner in the works. So, it'd be João Klaus's job to get his spot back from Kyogo. So who knows at this point? But I think Klaus is still the top goal scorer currently. So I'm going to stick with him because I think he'll get good minutes. running into the end of the season. So I'm good, Joe Klaus still.
Yeah. And then, I think that's it for the questions for the moment. But yeah, I'm still back paint. So I think moving back to the natural wing position when he doesn't want to be a techie dribbler for some reason will end up doing him well. But we got some news on the commissioner race after
Mr. Don Garber.
Don Garber.
Yeah, so it was revealed this past week by Sportico saying coming by the end of this month, they'll have a new commissioner in place. And there were three names initially that were pointed out by Sportico, but it was then narrowed down to two because one of them dropped out of the race due to, he didn't want his name to be out there, losing his job. So it's like the Mauricio Pochettino thing. He wanted to keep his job safe, have job security. So he's like, remove my name from the course. And the two names that were left are, hate it or love it, LFC co-owner Larry Berg. He was a private executor and he is now the co-owner of LFC. And he saw this with baseball. As someone pointed out, similar to a baseball team, someone was a co-owner of a baseball team and then went in and ended up being a commissioner somewhere high up in MLB. So it's not crazy. It's not unusual to see this in other sports. So as long as he brings in good rules for roster manipulation and LFC doesn't go and abuse it and he gets inside knowledge from them, I'm fine with it as long as, helps out the better of the league. And the second one being veteran media executive David Nathanson. This is a guy that has been in sports for a while now and he knows his stuff. I was doing some research on him. He's been involved with MLS in the past, so these guys both have ties to MLS. And, I think either of them, I don't know their, talking points to, get the job. So whatever they can bring to the table, I'd love to see. And hopefully anything's better than Don Garber at this point. So I'm fine with either of them personally.
I'm going to be completely biased. I don't know almost anything about either one of them, but not the LAFC guy, please. And I say that completely biased. He might be the most well-fit guy in the world to take that position. But not the LAFC guy, please. Look, like I said, I don't know about how qualified either one of these guys are to be. I don't know how I feel about the fact that a co-owner could potentially be the commissioner, regardless of what team it is. It could be Atlanta United, and I feel like I would be making the same point. Yeah, that's another point. None of these names really excite me. I mean, they all have their own individual backgrounds. I was hoping for a name that I would at least recognize. What was Dan Beckerman in the run at first? I believe there was like a very big short list when the news that Don Garber will be stepping down after, I think, 2027 came out. Yeah, I think it's right before the first main season, how we're going to have the sprint season, and then they're going to transition the leadership of commissioner of Major League Soccer. But if I had to guess, it's probably going to be the LAFC guy, Larry Berg. So we'll see. But if we're looking at a commissioner, you're right. I want somebody that's not just going to be like, all right, let's abolish all the salary cap. Let's free up everything to major. I think the training wheels slowly need to come off for MLS to succeed. I don't think you could, and I don't think the owners will ever agree. Like if you're an owner of the Colorado, if you're Stan Kroenke, who's been very cheap with the Colorado Rapids in his time as owner, he's never going to agree to completely abolish the salary cap because Colorado Rapids would be bottom of the West every single year. The only reason why some of these teams get to compete in MLS is because of the fact that there's salary cap constraints. Teams go up, teams go down. It's how it works. Like you win a championship, you're going to face LA Galaxy 2025 roster compliance issues. It's going to happen. It's how it's built to keep parity. So it's not like the Bundesliga where Bayern has won it like all but twice of probably the last 16 years. They don't want it to be like that. They really don't. That's their worst fear for MLS. That's fine. Let's do away with some of the stupid rules like discovery rights. Like, let's just start there. Discovery rights are so MLS 2.0. It's over. It's got to be over. Increase the mid-level spending for teams. Like the allocation money allotted, make it bigger. allow teams to spend more. I think in the middle of the roster. I don't think adding another DP is just going to fix everything. Maybe that's something where down the line, if you've done other things, then you could expand to a fourth DP. But I think that would be a very band-aid fix for me. I don't think that would do much in the long term for Major League Soccer to be more of a competitive league. To compete on a level with Liga MX, I don't think you need another DP level player. I think you need to build out the middle of your roster. MLS can compete on a top level with Liga MX. You want to look at the top 3 players of most Liga MX teams, and you want to look at the top 3 players of an LAFC, of a 2024 LA Galaxy. It's very, very close. It's very close. They're not significantly better. Look at the 10th best player on what's another top team? Vancouver. Look at the 10th best player on Vancouver. Look at the 10th best player on Cruz Azul. They're going to be significantly better because they build out the middle of the roster a lot better than MLS teams are able to do. So I think you need to expand the building in there. And then obviously they're going to probably oversee the expansion teams. I would expect that MLS adds probably 2 expansion teams, one to Indianapolis and one to Las Vegas. And it just makes most logical sense with the whole divisions thing that they're going to do. They're going to want their money. It'll add $1 billion, probably over $1 billion in expansion fees alone to Major League Soccer. So that's just going to happen. Indy and Las Vegas will be getting a team. What would you do if Tab was commissioner?
I agree with you on that point. I think, slowly build into it. I think you got to increase the middle cap, and give teams more GAM, more TAM on the yearly basis. I'd also remove actually, I wouldn't remove that. I'd increase the amount of international roster slots you give out initially to each team. Increase it by at least 1, I feel like is a good shout, because even if teams have been built with the same amount, I think they're allocated 8 per year initially. And then people trade them off. The teams trade them off and they buy them. And you see it, the interest rates on these things are going high. There's a big spike in international roster spot needs. So the price goes high. Galaxy were having to loan roster slots to get them in so they could be roster compliant with all these MLS rules. So I think I'd add 1 more roster slot to every team to start the season. Increase the GAM TAM and all the funny money, increase all that to each team every year, and increasingly add more to it every year to eventually get the point where these roster rules aren't, bending teams over and having to, play Twister to get around all these weird rules that Don Garber's had in place. So eventually, with the increase of all of the money, I think eventually these rules will, go away slowly but surely, and they won't become as much of a problem, and it will lead to better teams overall. So that's my spiel on that. So you can vote Juan Trevino for the next MLS commissioner.
Yeah.
I'll be running in 2035.
Got my vote. I think the league's just outgrown Don Garber. I think he's done some things right for the league, but if I'm looking at this World Cup, was probably the final straw for me. Because I think MLS was supposed to go to the next level. I mean, ever since it was announced that we would be getting this World Cup, people would be wondering, how is MLS going to take advantage of this? Where will MLS be as a league off of the momentum of a World Cup in the USA? Let's not forget, the reason why MLS is a thing is because of the 1994 World Cup in the United States. So it's kind of like a full circle moment. All right, MLS, you get your chance again. America gets its chance to host a World Cup alongside Canada and Mexico. Let's show off and let's tie MLS as closely into this World Cup as possible. So people, the casual fan watching the U.S. men's national team is like, I'm going to go support an MLS team. I'll show up to a game. Galaxy started doing that first games on us deal.
You heard nothing from me. There is no glitch in the system to get free tickets. You haven't heard it from me, but hey, keep this between us. The 19 people that are in here right now, if you put in a fake email or email they have a connection to, but if you put an email to that thing, you can get free tickets for 5 games. So You didn't hear from me though. You didn't hear from Talking Galaxy. You didn't hear from Tab on Javita. So take that
Yeah.
information what you will, and it stays between us.
It's really just felt like Don Garber's ran its course. There was supposed to be so much momentum off this World Cup, and instead it just MLS is starting again. It just feels like our league's coming back. Like to us, that's cool. I mean, right now I kind of wish we had another World Cup with how the Galaxy just played last game, but generally speaking, MLS is back. But to the casual fan, I don't think they care. I don't think, maybe you brought in some people to MLS, but the amount of potential that this 2026 World Cup had for Major League Soccer was immense, and they didn't capitalize on it. And that's my final straw for Don Garber. The World Cup will probably come back in 2038 to the United States, and I'm hoping MLS takes advantage much, much, much better than they did this time, because that's 12 years. We're going to have to wait 12 years to see if MLS can take another step forward. Now we have to do it on our own, not off of the back of the World Cup boost, because we didn't capitalize on it. The ship sailed. World Cup's over, and we're back to regularly scheduled business. So Don Garber failed, in my opinion, when it came to the World Cup. And his legacy will ultimately be defined by his failures. There was some good things he did as well, but when you're going out on a loss like this World Cup was for Major League Soccer, in my opinion, it's not a good look, and that's things that can affect your legacy. But he was good when he joined to pick the league up and stabilize it a bit more. It's ran its course. He should have stepped down sooner, in my opinion. But I understand that they wanted to give him this World Cup to try to capitalize.
And one of the main things that he's been like getting bashed on about is the thoughts of relegation. We got a question in the chat saying thoughts on relegation for MLS and the way that it is for the Premier League. I don't think relegation is what MLS needs. I think I like the idea of the different brackets or the different areas for the team, and you play each of those teams twice, and then you play every team at least once throughout the season. I think that's a brilliant idea. I think that's one of the better things Don Garber's done in this recent era for MLS. And the MLS is just not suited for promotion relegation right now. If you want that, go watch USL, and USL has pretty low viewership. So I just don't think it fits well. And if I was commissioner, when I run in 2030, relegation's not on my ballot. So don't vote for me if you want that. What about you?
I'm not for it. I think, first of all, logistically, never going to happen. All these people crying on Twitter fingers over pro rel for the USA. You're wasting your time. You go spend time with your family, because this is never going to happen. Expansion teams have invested. I think the current rate is $600 million to buy a Major League to start, for the right to have a Major League Soccer franchise, not including building a stadium, not including all of these other things that cost crazy amounts of money. Just to have an MLS team, $600 million, figure it out. Why in the world would they agree to that, knowing that their team could get relegated and boom, worth maybe 50 million? Maybe even less than that. Look at these USL teams' evaluations if you want a comparison of where those MLS teams would be. Another thing, it's so easy to say that and make the league good. Who is going to support a team playing in the second division of MLS? People barely come out to support teams in the first division of MLS in certain franchises. Colorado Rapids consistently struggle with attendance. You think that's going to get better if they get relegated? No, they will probably fold within 5 years of getting relegated, because they just won't be able to climb out of it. It hampers so many clubs. What I'm trying to think about, I think it's Boavista. Boavista just folded after 130 years. They got relegated, and all of that history got wiped away because of the amount of financial impact relegation has on an MLS team. So you're going to tell me that people spending $600 million to have an MLS team will agree to that being a possibility. Never going to happen, mate. Never in a million years. Probably not in my lifetime. Maybe after I'm gone, you'll see promotion relegation. It's just never going to happen. People are not going to watch these teams. They're going to have to lay off so much people in their staff. And these franchises have enough problems as it is. Relegation is the last thing that we need to deal with. And generally speaking, I think it would be devastating to see a team. Let's look at a team that's, the Rapids have been around for a long time. I just keep using them, but they're irrelevant. I'm sorry.
Montreal. Switch it to Jalen Neal's club.
Montreal. Watching them fold would suck. Watching any MLS team fold would suck. And to say that that's not even a possibility, if you do pro rel, it's just stupid. You just never did your research. And it's happening in leagues today. It's happening in the Portuguese league. It's happening, some of these teams. Look at back-to-back relegations for Leicester City. Detrimental to their club. Will they ever be back in the Premier League is a genuine question. With that stadium, with that, West Ham, we're going to this relegation. They'll probably be back in the Premier League, but you're telling me that they're going to be filling up that 60K capacity. I think it's 60K capacity stadium.
So being a West Ham fan, the West Ham front office was extremely corrupt, and that's what led to so many West Ham fans turning their back on the team. And recently, whoever the highest up over there in the front office, he stepped down, and now his new owner is the owner. So the owner of West Ham stepped down, and there's new owners. And West Ham Stadium holds 65K, 70K in their stadium, and they announced probably I think a week ago saying there's 45K people that have already got their season tickets ready and signed and paid for. So it works over there because the diehard fan base. MLS just doesn't have that now, and it'll show. I think it'll show in USL. You'll see not many USL fans show up. They already don't have a ton. The stadiums aren't as big, and you're talking about 10K people as a record is around 10K showing up to support the first division in USL. Imagine what that'd be if they drop down one division or two divisions. That's going to be a whole lot lower, and the whole reason people go out to soccer games and sports games in the U.S. is to be entertained. You're not going to go out to see a second division team play, a team from across the nation that you don't even know. There's no key players, no star players, no homegrown players that you can, root for, have like a connection to. It just isn't going to work. It works in England. It works in other countries because it's been around for hundreds of years. People have drawn connections to these local clubs, and that's just how it works. And we just don't have that yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not just a Bovista problem. You could look at FFP, sure. Chivo Verona, I'm looking at a list right now. I'm looking at a list because it happens elsewhere. These teams do liquidate. This is like a real thing.
You see England too. Didn't there's a big team in was it MK Dons? They disbanded, but they came back or something crazy like that, and they made their way back up the pyramid.
I don't know if it's MK Dons, but I know Rangers in Scotland, it says the original corporate entity folded, and then Maidstone United in England. The point being is that teams may liquidate off of this. Major League Soccer, like you said, is not England. It's so difficult. Sunderland got relegated back-to-back years, and they managed to be a success story. Will Leicester City, where will they be in 10 years? Who knows? They have a stadium that is going to need to be paid for. But are they going to be filling up seats in EFL League One? Maybe, if they're lucky. That roster that they have looks nothing close. Galaxy get relegated. And by the way, Pro Rel would never work also because of salary cap. Like to even start on Pro Rel, everything needs to be abolished relating to salary cap, because the Galaxy would have been relegated in 2017. The Galaxy would have been relegated last year, I believe. and close to relegation in 2023, and they ended up winning the championship in 2024. It's just there's so much party in this league, it just doesn't work because teams go up, teams go down, and it's because of the salary cap system partially. But it would be detrimental to any club to get relegated. But imagine the Galaxy. You want to use their own team. There's been years where we would have been relegated. Imagine the Galaxy in MLS too. Maybe 10K come out. Maybe 10K fans, if that, will come out to most of these games. El Tráfico, we wouldn't even have El Tráficos anymore. You're ruining rivalries.
If we're going down, LAFC's coming down with us. So
yeah, we need to find a way to drag them. Commissioner Tab will drag them down. But point being, MLS will never have promotion relegation, and MLS should not have promotion relegation. It'd be detrimental to the league, and you'd probably see a lot of teams fold or go through insane financial crisis that our league's not old enough to have. We're not comfortable or stable enough as a league to start playing around like that. And these owners who made investments will never agree to it. So it's kind of the end of the story on that for me.
Yeah, and moving from roster rules to an actual roster rule that is happening right now, Galaxy need to fill up the DP slot, and the rumor going around is Chucky Lozano. The first kind of rumor that popped up around it was during El Tráfico. Taylor Twellman made a comment during the live stream saying, LA Galaxy should sign Chucky Lozano. Obviously his time at San Diego has been kind of lackluster due to his disciplinary issues, and he was exiled from the squad. And Taylor Twellman made it up, and he said, Galaxy should go sign him. And then later on, per my sources, so first off, Taylor Twellman obviously knows his stuff, and his commentary may be kind of trash, and it is, but he is inside the MLS kind of circle. He knows what's going on. He knows conversations that are been going on between clubs, and he hears things first because he's so close to all those conversations, all those circles. And he pointed out, maybe it's a little teaser or foreshadowing, but one of my sources were saying the talks are real. They're legitimate. LA Galaxy and Chucky Lozano have had preliminary talks to bring him in, and Galaxy obviously have the open DP slot to get him in. But for me, I feel like, so Chucky Lozano, his contract runs until the 2028 season with San Diego, and he's earning, I think, around $9 million a season. And San Diego currently just, buying the bullet and taking all that money, and they're paying for it. And he's just sitting there rotting away in San Diego. Tom Boger's talking about in his podcast today. Chucky Lozano wants to stay in San Diego. He wants to be in San Diego. He loves the area, and he wants to come back and play for San Diego. But San Diego's holding firm, and they're not going to let him back into the squad due to what happened during the 2024 or 2025 playoffs, where he and Coach Mikey Barras got in a big altercation. I'm pretty sure it's a big fight or something, and he hasn't been back since. I think he made one appearance in 2025 playoffs and hasn't played since then. So I think it's November 2025. He hasn't played since a competitive MLS game. And, he wants to stay in San Diego, and San Diego are actively looking to, offset him somewhere else, but he doesn't want to move. So this is where I'm putting on my thinking cap and thinking, San Diego and LA, it's probably a 4-hour drive. If he doesn't have to move his whole family, he can, buy a separate house over in LA. He's got the money for it. This could be a real possibility if you put the logistics in front of yourself and you just look at it. He wants to stay in California, close to San Diego. His kids are in school in San Diego. This could be this could be a real thing. People obviously talk about how Will Kuntz wants good, people in the locker room. Obviously, Chucky Lozano is kind of a cancer to a locker room. But if you can get him on a team-friendly deal, I'm not opposed to it personally. And I think everything's kind of leading and the stars are aligning in a way where this is definitely a possibility. So that's my 2 cents on it. I think if we can get him on a friendly deal, obviously not pay the full $9 million, if San Diego can pay at least half of it, I'm fine with it personally.
Hate it. Sorry, I hate it. I'll be the one to say this. As a designated player, as the Gabriel Peck replacement, no. And for the salary that he's making, San Diego would have to cover 3/4 of his salary to squeeze him on TAM. No, that's not gonna happen. So even if they absorb half or 3/4 of his salary, so it's a bit lighter, he's still gonna be a DP. He, like you said, he's a cancer. I am shocked that we're even reportedly interested in him. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me because Will Kuntz is very big on the character test. This has to be a great character. This has to be somebody that's not going to be problematic to the locker room. And honestly, I respect that a lot. I respect the fact that they want guys that are not going to be an issue to Greg Vanney, who are going to have a very good relationship with the LA Galaxy and the fan base. This is not him. This is not it. This is a problem. This is a problematic character. This is a guy that will likely cause issues in the locker room if he's having a bad run of form. If Greg Vanney has to bench him, it's not going to work. He's going to fight Greg Vanney. No, it can't happen. It can't happen for me. And I from a marketing perspective, yeah, I would sell jerseys. I don't care. This is a Klein era signing to me. This is something that if Chris Klein was still at the helm, I'd be like, yeah, this is just probably going to happen. I don't like it at all. And I feel like we've grown past toxic. He's not exactly young either. Toxic, young, old, expensive players that are going to be an issue in the locker room. And then just on a player level, this guy hasn't played in what I want to say almost
a year.
Yeah, almost a year now. What is he going to look like? He's not, like I just said, he's an older player. Taking a step back for a year can be detrimental to your career. You might be a shadow of your former self. You might not be as good as you ever used to be again, and your career could just be on the decline. Do we want to take a flyer on this guy as a designated player? No, this is not the Peck replacement, and I would never sell Peck if this guy is the replacement. And could it happen? Yes. I honestly, if this happens, I think it's time for Wilkins. Like, it might be for me. If this is the big Peck replacement, I can't back him anymore. I can't. For as much as people want to bag on Greg Vanney, if this is what he's being given, I feel sorry for him. I don't like Chucky Lozano. I don't like Chucky Lozano as a personality, and I do not think that he has it as a player anymore, or it's a risk at the very minimum. So that's my personal opinion.
I told you that the one sad story for pro Chucky Lozano. The con Chucky Lozano you've also pointed out, but I have another con as well that, Will Kuntz, MLS in general has been talking about this summer window where, European players are coming off their contracts, World Cup's ending. There's going to be so many players coming and being ready to make a move to MLS, Saudi, try new things because the World Cup cycle is over. So they don't have anything to do in the next 4 years. Like maybe if someone's 31, 30 years old, you're going to be 35 in the next World Cup. You're probably not going to make that roster. So you're probably thinking of your future and thinking, oh, where can I move that's going to be best for my family? We're in that window right now. And you're telling me you're going to go out and get Chucky Lozano, who you could have got last window for probably the same price. Yeah. He was an option last window, and he's an option this window. And I just feel like it's an extremely easy and, simple transfer that you could have done another time. And you're talking about MLS being, this prime window, you're going to bring in so many stars. And you're telling me you're going to go down the street to San Diego and pick up Chucky Lozano, some teams, sloppy seconds. I mean, it just doesn't sit right with me. So that's my con to Chucky Lozano coming to the Galaxy.
It's a lazy signing. Signing. It's throwing your hands up in the air and saying, let me take a 2-hour drive down the freeway and have some talks about this. No, it's a lazy cop-out signing. And honestly, for as much as I don't think our next DP, let's get into this conversation. I think that our next DP, for as much as I've been against it since I've had this podcast with you, I've been against big name signings. I would not have sold Peck. If he wants to go home, sure. I don't understand that part of it, and I acknowledge that. I don't understand if Peck was homesick. I don't understand those circumstances. If he had to do it, then he had to do it. The replacement, in my mind, in a World Cup transfer window, I do not want it to just be another U23 DP. I don't want it to just be another potentially as good Peck type of player. We're forgetting that Peck had 15 goals and assists thus far into the season for the Galaxy. I believe is all comps. Peck had 15 goals and assists. Those are not easy numbers to replicate. It's not. And I think that, well, first of all, I would sign a U23 DP before I sign this guy. Like, this is not the type of older signing that we should be going for. I mean, you're right. I don't even think he has pull within Mexican fan base anymore. I generally just don't think people like him that much. And it doesn't make sense. The San Diego's not going to absorb all of his salary. We might get him on a free transfer, but they're not going to absorb all of his salary to play for us. It's not a Cabral situation because Cabral wasn't making $9 million. They're not going to take all of that for them to play for his rival team. It's not going to happen. He's not going to be a TAM player. There's just no reasonable function where that works. Go swing for a Mo Salah. The fact that I haven't really even heard our name in any legitimate rumors regarding Mo Salah, the fact Sporting Kansas City is in the running before us, and I get he's older, and I'm always against older signings. And I swear I'm not even being biased here because I'm a Liverpool fan. I would take Mo Salah in a heartbeat, and he'd instantly be a top 3 MLS player. Instantly. That's the type of player you need to swing on. Even if it isn't Mo Salah, a player of that profile that not only is going to be a recognizable name, but still has gas left in the tank to provide for your team. And I don't think Chucky Lozano does, and I don't want to take the risk because of his personality. If this was a great personality we're talking about, it'd be like, well, first of all, he wouldn't be banished from the team, but even if he was for whatever reason, I'd be like, yeah, maybe take a flyer on him. No, not happening. I would never do that. But U23 DP is just boring to me. You do not know if that U23 DP is going to pan out good. Look at Kevin Cabral. I love Kevin Cabral. Didn't pan out with the LA Galaxy. Do you want to take another swing like that? Even if you throw a $10 million transfer fee and you feel as certain as you can be about a player, you never know. You saw how high were we on Lucas Sanabria when he got signed? This is U22. I understand it's a bit different. How high were we on Lucas Sanabria? He was playing for the Uruguay national team at the age of 20 when he made his debut for them, balling, doing incredible things. I felt very certain about him. It takes people time to adjust to MLS, and some people just can't do it. Sanabria's come around, but if we sign a U23 DP, there is a chance that they don't develop into the player because you have to bank on the potential. You don't have this whole resume of what they have done. You have an idea of what they can do for you, what they can be as a player. And for me, I don't think that you do that in our current situation. I think it's a risk. Maybe it's like, I don't know. It could be the right player. Maybe the perfect U23 DP falls into their lap. Sure, take the risk. But for me, I'm swinging for the fences this window if I'm Will Kuntz, and I'm calling all of the people that make sense. We made a tier list on this. I would call all of those names that made sense on that tier list, or they have a more advanced scouting network than Talkin Galaxy podcast does. Make the boss calls, make the calls to these guys who still have gas left in the tank, but want to come to MLS for a change of scenery. Maybe fell in love with Los Angeles when they came over for the World Cup. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you talking about people who love the LA lifestyle. You had the Spanish national team over here for 2 separate times, 2 separate occasions that came and trained at LA Galaxy. You saw Marco Correa, Alex Baena, the LA Galaxy chains around their necks. Why not go out? Why not have the conversation? We don't know if you had the conversation when they're there, but who knows? Maybe give them a call. Say, hey, welcome to LA Galaxy here. Just wondering if you're even thinking about coming to LA. Obviously, you're here and you saw the facilities, why not? We saw who's their striker? The I'm blanking on his name.
Borja Iglesias.
Yeah, Borja Iglesias. He was living the LA lifestyle. He was taking pics. He had this like film account where he takes pictures on film of all the Spanish players, and he's had him and the players having a great time over at LA Galaxy facilities. I think it came out yesterday or today that San Diego's in talks with him. So, I mean, he's willing to come to MLS and play. So maybe give him a call. There's so many players that have came to LA Galaxy facilities, seen him play. You had the Spanish team, like I said. You had Turkey when they played the USA at SoFi, and you had Iran who played at SoFi as well. So you have multiple national teams with quality players that are playing at a World Cup coming to your facilities. It should be an elevator pitch for Will Kuntz to go and say, "Hey, I'm the general manager here at LA Galaxy. This is what we have to offer. We have an open DP slot. Would you be willing to come here?" I mean, those are the conversations that have to be happening. And if you're coming and telling me after all those conversations, you're going down the street for a couple hours and you're picking up Chucky Lozano from the trash bags over at, Snapdragon Stadium, it just doesn't sit right with me. So I think this is incredibly lazy if this does happen. If it's just talks to see what the possibility is, if he can, maybe come on a TAM, sure, I'm fine with those conversations. But, if he's coming on a DP signing, no way, Jose, don't come to LA, please. You can stay banished exiled from San Diego, and you just sit there earning $9 million a season, which is, I wouldn't mind that personally, but
yeah, no, God forbid you have to live in San Diego and not play for $9 million.
And Belgium, I completely forgot about that. You had Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku has been linked with NYCFC as well. You've had these great players come to Dignity Health Sports Park, so surely there's got to be some connections there, and maybe we'll start seeing some dots connecting with those teams, and we see some more rumors with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that whoever we sign as a DP is just still has gas left in the tank, isn't too old, barring like a Mo Salah type of guy that clearly still has something left, but like around the 28 to 32-year-old range that still has something left, doesn't have an injury track record, and is just ready to provide for this team. I mean, it doesn't have to be a massive name. We looked at Zendejas. Like, he's not a massive type of Mo Salah name. He would be a great fit for the LA Galaxy. Some of these guys would make logical sense for us to go after. I have a question though for you, Tab. This is like completely fantasy world, never ever in a million years going to happen. But just for sake of asking, would you take Lamine Yamal off of Barcelona forever if he got to play the rest of his career at the LA Galaxy?
Oh, geez, what the heck is this question? No, I would not do that.
Wow.
I'm Galaxy and Barca. I think he's got an incredibly, successful career ahead of him, and I think we can be successful without him as well. So I hope I'm not being too selfish keeping him over at Barcelona for all the Madrid fans, maybe, or other European fans over there. But I keep him in Barca, and there's plenty more fish in the sea. You don't have to take Lamine Yamal over to LA. So no.
What's wrong with you, man? What is?
Hey, but maybe we can sign Crescencio Somerville for $80 million, just like Al Hilal did.
I would
absolute
take
crazy
all off of Barcelona if it meant you could.
I'd take Dominic Szoboszlai over here for the rest of his career, or whatever.
I would take Dominic Szoboszlai off of Liverpool if he could play the rest of his career at the LA Galaxy.
Okay, that's a little different because he's already he's 30.
I would take
not 30, 27,
like 25.
Oh, I mean, Lamine Yamal is 19 years old and has a World Cup and Euros and La Liga titles. There's no comparable player you can say for that for any other player. So
unreal. Okay, well, now we're just lying. Now we're just actually lying.
He doesn't. I'll show it out there.
Who starts over him?
No, he doesn't start over Pedri.
Pedri, who is riding bench for Spain, by the way.
No. He was saving himself. He's saving himself.
Right.
No.
And who?
And Fabian Ruiz dropped a stinker, and then Pedri comes in, and Spain win the game. So I mean,
He did not. All right, all right. Who else would he not start over?
Frankie De Jong doesn't start over him. I think he starts over. I think he starts. I think he starts over Gavi.
Gavi's a bum.
Gavi's not a bum. Take that back right now. But I think he starts over Gavi. But yeah, I don't think he starts over those two specifically.
I would take Ekitike at the Galaxy. Any player, name any player. Ekitike, Rio, any of them could come over to the Galaxy. De Jong would never.
No one compares to Lamine Yamal. So
never start over Dominic Szoboszlai. Anyway, yeah, there's a little hypothetical. Oh, we have a new signing. There we go. Boom. I just spawned that in right now. We have signed. I'm not gonna pronounce that.
So you gotta say it. You gotta say it. You gotta give it one shot. I'll go right after you. Or unless you want me to go to first.
Furuhashi.
Yogo Furuhashi. Yes, Furuhashi. I think you got it.
All right.
If you you split in half, you got Puro, Hashi.
Kyogo. We have Kyogo, everybody. Welcome, Kyogo. The LA Galaxy have completed the signing of Kyogo on a 5-year contract running through the end of the 2031 season, the 2030/31 season. He's 31 years old, I believe.
Yep.
He's coming over from Birmingham. Come to Birmingham. He came from. Oh gosh, dude, what an awful change in lifestyle. Having to go from Birmingham to
doom and gloom.
I feel for the guy. Really, I'd rather be in Birmingham. But coming over from Birmingham, where he did not have a successful stint, but there was a stint that he had at Celtic where he was insanely successful. You want to talk about that a bit, Tab?
Yeah, so over at Celtic, that was just kind of his highlight, peak of his career, if you could say. This was back when so he's 31 now. So this was 2 years ago when he was at Celtic, and he was there for 5 years. So this is when he was, 24 to 27 years old. This is, not his prime years, technically speaking, if you're talking about, players in their primes and what that kind of timeline looks like. And he was balling out for them. He won the Scottish Premiership Golden Boot one year, scored 35 goals in a season for Celtic, I believe in 2023, 2024. So, this guy not too long ago was balling out in the Champions League, in the Scottish Premiership, winning titles back-to-back years, pretty much every year Celtic wins it. So, he's winning trophies every single year. And he comes in and he balls up for Celtic. He then makes a move to, is it Germany? I'm blanking on the team he goes to.
Oh, it was France. It was
Rennes.
Yeah.
So he goes to Rennes, doesn't have a successful time there, gets injured, plays 6 games for them, and then he moves in the summertime over to where he was now, which is Birmingham, and he plays season there. Didn't hit the heights that he expected to over at Birmingham as well, scoring 3 goals in 36 games. And looking through the Birmingham City's comment section when they announced his departure, it's a mixed bag of comments. He had people saying, "Oh, it just wasn't meant to be. He's a good player, but the system didn't fit him." And then I saw one comment saying, "This definitely panned out as probably one of the worst signings in Birmingham history ever." So I thought that was pretty crazy. Obviously, we saw one of our former players, Matthias Zonka, had pretty bad reviews from his former team coming into the Galaxy. This guy, he had a mixed bag of reviews, so it's hard to tell what you're going to get from him. But if you look up his highlights on TikTok, look up Kyogo Furuhashi on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, even watch the LA Galaxy's video they put out. Some of the goals this guy scored is crazy. I think one of the videos on TikTok went viral and had like 400K likes or something like that. And he has some pretty crazy goals. He has a crazy goal catalog. And if he is half the player that he was at Celtic, this guy is going to be absolute baller. And it's on a friendly deal as well. It's a TAM contract for the Galaxy, 5 years, obviously. And the fee for the transfer was just north of 1 million. I believe on Transfer Market it was said to be 1.2 million. So I mean, it's a relatively low risk deal. It's a TAM striker. We obviously have a TAM DP or TM DP, a DP striker right now in Joao Class, but he's obviously injured. So I don't mind swinging the bat at this, and if it happens, it could be home run. If it's a double, this is still a good signing. So I got high hopes for this guy. So what are your thoughts on him?
I think, okay. I'm gonna there's two sides for me. One is the fact that if this guy reaches the level that he did at Celtic, this is a 10 out of 10 signing. This is probably a guy that is better than Joao Klaus when he is fully running in form, just unstoppable type of guy. When he's firing, when he's playing like he did at Celtic. If he could get back to that, this guy's going to be a monster. In the short term, absolute fix at the number 9 position. If Joao Klaus is out until September, he can't start again until September. This guy I can absolutely trust as our backup. I mean, what an upgrade over Nascimento, am I right? And, you know, they're bringing him over on TAM. I understand Atlanta wanted him as a DP back in the 24-25 season when he was balling out for Celtic, which obviously would have been worth it at the time. He scored 1 goal in the last year and a half, I believe it is. 1 goal. And we could talk about maybe it's a systematic problem. Maybe these teams like Birmingham, like playing in Ligue 1 just didn't fit his playing style. Sure, I don't watch Birmingham enough to tell you their playing style, and if it suits him or not. I'll trust the fans saying that maybe it just was a bad fit. This is a 5-year contract for a 31-year-old. That concerns me a little bit. And I understand there is an element to this where Will Kuntz has to work around the salary cap. You don't want him to be a designated player, so that $1.2 million needs to be prorated over 5 years, blah, blah, blah. That's a very, very, very big commitment to somebody that could just be on the downward trajectory of his career. You don't know yet what you're going to get out of this guy, because if we're looking at highlights of him last when he was balling, it was the 24-25 Celtics season. He hasn't balled out since then. He went out on loan to France, didn't work out. Played at Birmingham, didn't work out. So I just think if this was a 2-year contract, if this was 2 years with a club option, perfect, 10 out of 10 deal. I don't know how the salary cap situation is looking for the Galaxy. I just think that I worry that in 2 years' time, we're going to be sitting here like, dang, the writing was kind of on the wall and we have to deal with this guy for 3 more years or figure out a way to get out of this contract. That's my fear. And maybe I have PTSD to some of the other long-term signings that we had to get out of, like Kevin Cabral. As much as I love him, is so hard to get out of that contract. And this isn't a DP, but who's going to be sitting there when he's 33 years old if he's not performing? And if the last good season that he still had was his time 3 clubs ago then at Celtic, you're not going to have anybody at the doorstep like, hey, we'll take him. Like, no, it's not going to happen for a 33-year-old making TAM level money. It's just not going to happen. I think that it could work out. I have hopes that he will be a good player in the short term for the Galaxy. But if you're sitting here and looking at a player that has scored 1 goal in the last year and a half, and you're like, yeah, signing him to a 5-year contract is completely fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and it could potentially never go wrong. You're out of your mind. But I do believe in the talent that he showed at Celtic, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe the last 2 clubs were a fluke. I think that right now what I would grade this signing is an 8 out of 10. I think it has potential to be a 9 or 10 out of 10 type of signing. But if we were looking at him on a 2-year deal with the club option, this is a 10 out of 10 signing. This is a guy that they wanted as a designated player in Atlanta, and we're getting him on a TAM deal. I just could also see a universe where we're sitting here in 2 years and we're like, dang, that was a really big risk that didn't pan out for the Galaxy. But Will Kuntz is going to go down swinging, I guess. And I do believe that he could be the guy at the number 9 position and potentially even better than Joao Klaus when he's fully fit. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this guy's got tremendous potential. And I'm going to piggyback off Joe Cool's comment in the chat right here. Um, Maybe the reason for the 5 years is due to, the amortization of the transfer fee, where we paid around, I don't know the actual number. It wasn't actually reported in Birmingham's post. It says undisclosed, but transfer market says it's around 1.5, I believe. But anyway, maybe you have to amortize that transfer fee across the 5 years to keep them under DP level. So that could possibly be a reason why it's a 5-year contract. And it's not because they expect him to be a starter come 2020 or 2031 when he's 36 years old. So I think Wilkins is smarter than that. So I think it's definitely the transfer fee getting allocated to each year. So it's not all the transfer fee getting allocated to 3 years where that puts him at DP level. So it very well could be that. We don't know that for sure. I just want to put that out there. But that seems pretty plausible. And I think that's definitely the reason. But, speaking of this, he's taking what Joao Klaus's position would be next year. He's taken that TAM contract that, Joao Klaus would eventually inherit, that we're thinking come next season. Because when Ricky comes back, we're going to have to lose a DP spot. And at the time, you weren't going to get rid of Peck or Paintsel. You're going to have Joao Klaus step down from that DP slot, and he's going to get that TAM contract. Hirohashi looks like he's taking that TAM contract that was kind of left vacant for Joao Klaus. So I don't know what's up for Joao Klaus now. We're going to have to see what he's like when he comes back from injury. And another thing I like about this deal is now we have 2 9s that have completely different play styles. You have Joao Klaus, who's hold up 9. He can dish off the ball, he can drop deep and help in the build out. And then you have Hirohashi, which is incredibly direct. He's super fast and he's got incredible finishing as well. So I like how we have different options at the 9. We've been lacking, options just all over the field recently because of our depth being extremely light and slim. So having a player profile that's extremely different from the current player profiles we have currently is I really enjoy it. So I'm hoping as we get more players coming in and, the players getting involved and integrated into the squad, that we can finally see Greg Vanney use players in a way to help tactically improve the team rather than, this player's tired, I need a sub. Who can I throw in this position to, you do a half job at this position for the rest of the game. You saw with Ruben Ramos Jr., he's just not the level yet, and you saw the level drop off significantly when Joe Paintsel came out. And you want to see players when they come into the game, change the dynamic, change everything about the game, put it on their backs and make a change in the game. But currently, you just can't do that with our current roster. So I really enjoy this signing personally.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that, like this comment says, I don't think that this signals that Joao Klaus is gone. I think that, like you said, because they are 2 different profiles, this might be something that the Galaxy want to keep. I mean, what's the best problem to have as a head coach is having 2 strikers that are capable of starting for your club. That have to fight for that spot. I mean, it could be the case that, hey, maybe negotiations aren't going well to extend Joao Klaus, but I still feel like Joao Klaus will stay. I think he will renegotiate for under a DP, probably around $1.2 million a year, $1.1 million a year to stay as an LA Galaxy player for probably 3 years. It's just the contract. It's the contract. And this won't be an issue now. This probably won't be an issue that we'll even be talking about by the end of the season. But this might be an issue in like 2029 that we're looking at. And we're like, all right, because we had to sacrifice to keep this guy under a DP for that 2026 season where we weren't built to compete. I mean, we're not going to win an MLS Cup because of this guy, for as good as he could be. We're not going to win an MLS Cup this year with him. we could be looking by 2029 in a bad situation salary cap wise, because he would be I want to say 34, maybe going on 35, because of his age situation. And, you just don't want it to be an issue then. But that's a risk that Will Kuntz is taking, and that's a risk that he might have to end up paying for at a point. Whether that be the Galaxy having to maneuver salary cap wise again whenever the time comes. Maybe they open roster flexibility, and this is never an issue that we even talk about. But yeah, right now, I would just, I like it in the short term. This guy will score goals this season. He'll probably, if I had to put a number on it, by the end of the season, we're about halfway. I think he would score
halfway from the game tomorrow, I believe.
He'll score 7. I think he'll score 7. Is probably in the middle range. And I think he's capable of scoring 9 for the Galaxy in this remaining half of the season. I don't know what you think, but if we could get service to this guy up top, if we can make him, if we could play into his play style a bit more, I think he could be very effective in the short term. So right now I'd give this an 8 out of 10 signing. We'll see how it pans out throughout the years. But yeah, 5-year contract is a lot to commit, but I like it in the short term. What do you expect of him from the end of this season onward? Because he probably won't play tomorrow, obviously.
Yeah, he still has to get his visa, and he hasn't even got to LA Galaxy facilities yet. So and there's a little video where he's saying, "Hey, geez," you can obviously tell that he's not in LA currently. He's probably still in England, doom and gloom over there. So he's coming home, but he's coming back to the US. So I think this is a 9 out of 10 signing for the Galaxy. I think it's relatively low risk, where if it doesn't pan out the way you want it to, I think you can get out of him because of the, he still has value in himself. He's still 31 years old. He's got, still years to give to the game. And I think that with that, he still has value. So if it doesn't work out, I think you can move on from him. It was rumored, I saw a post earlier from a Celtic page today. It was posted 2 days ago from Celtic saying Birmingham wanted to get rid of his contract, and he wanted to move back to Celtic. And I'm sure he has suitors over in the Scottish League. He performed well over there. So if it doesn't pan out for the Galaxy, and Jack Klaus ends up being, incredibly, he comes back to the form that he was in prior to his injury, and he's saying, "Oh, I don't know if Furuhashi should stay here." I think it's a possibility that you could move him on and still get value out of the deal. So I don't think it's bad, and I think it's a 9 out of 10 personally. And to go, you say 7 goals, I think 7's a good target. I'll say 6 just because you still have Jack Klaus. I think they're going to be splitting the time, and it's still unknown whether how that split's going to go because Jack Klaus is still out and he's not even here yet. So we don't even know how many games he's going to get in. So I'm going to say 6 goals.
Yeah. And then, this is just out there. But if Greg Vanney doesn't end up working out as your guy anymore, and they move on from Greg Vanney, there is a chance that we get a coach that favors a 2-striker system. I'm trying to think. I believe that is a form of what Wilfred Nancy played in Columbus. Here I am. I'm going to start a rumor, but Wilfred Nancy had, I believe, Christian Ramirez playing that kind of Joao Klaus position. And then you had Cucho Hernandez up top, just the clinical number 9. Could be, obviously to a lesser extent, but a similar dynamic to what the Galaxy could be looking at if Greg Vanney didn't end up being their man. We're not necessarily married to this 1-striker system if Greg Vanney isn't the guy. So, that could work out, and I'd be in favor of that potentially, because we've seen 2 strikers just doesn't work out in the Greg Vanney system. Dejan Joveljic and Chicharito, although there is something to be said about the fact that they were such similar playing styles that maybe it would work out better with these 2 contrasting. Maybe there is a world where these 2 can start together under Greg Vanney. I like the signing. I think it is a solid move. Long-term concern, sure, but if this guy gets back to his best, he will be an immediate fix and win the Galaxy a lot of games for the rest of this year. And who knows when Klaus is going to be ready to go for the team again. It's a long-term injury. And who knows what type of player we'll get after the injury. It's once again, long-term injury. You never know. So yeah. Any other last thoughts before we transition to the St. Louis preview?
So I got a little nugget for you guys. So if you're in some of the chats that, I'm in for Galaxy Runs LA, I said before when they did the little teaser jersey turning thing video, I said the Galaxy are in talks with a English attacker. That's this guy. He's playing in England. And the second one I said was a Saudi midfielder. So if you see a jersey turning, I think the next player that's going to be signing for Galaxy is going to be that Saudi midfielder. So you heard it here first. If the next player is Saudi, you can say like, oh, yeah, you got this news from Tab, Galaxy Runs LA, like, oh, this guy's so smart and handsome, But you heard it here first. Talking Galaxy podcast. So come back here, probably next Tuesday. They'll probably announce another signing because, it happens every Tuesday. So just know it happened. And I'm here to tell you guys it.
Probably a player from Saudi League. I don't think that Joe 13 cool in the chat.
Oh yeah, Saudi League. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it'd just be a player for Saudi Arabia. So yeah, maybe be on the lookout for. I'm still waiting for Dahoud to sign. That was a huge rumor before the international break. That Marco Royce was like practically flirting with him in the comment section. I thought that was going to end up becoming a done deal, and we haven't heard anything since. So you could only assume that that's probably not going to happen if they've had 2 months to complete that deal, and he wasn't even the first of 2 jerseys to be flipped. Also, I think on the jersey thing, I think the away Ryzen kit is for players outside of MLS, and I think the home kit is for players in MLS. So
it's interesting. I didn't think that. I saw it because Galaxy was playing in the away jersey tomorrow, so I thought they just came up with the theme of the Ryzen. But we'll have to see the next one, see what the pattern is. I didn't talk about this actually. There are so many fans that are getting mad at LA Galaxy posting these little teasers of the jersey turning and saying, "Oh, why are these players? These players don't deserve a jersey turn video. Like, who are these players? These guys are no ones." The Galaxy are doing this for every single signing. It's not just one player that's going to be a DP. It's not going to be a crazy max TAM signing player. They're doing this for every single signing. You see teams all around do this. LAFC's famous for doing their little hat thingy. I don't even know if they do that anymore, but they're known for doing that. The Galaxy is now known for turning the jersey, so get used to it. It's going to happen. We have probably 2-3 more signings coming in this window. You see 2 more of those videos minimum, so get used to it. I don't want to see any more yapping in the comments saying, "Oh, this better be Mo Salah, Cristiano Ronaldo. This better be some crazy DP signing."
Yeah.
It's every single player. There's going to be another depth piece coming in, and it's going to have a jersey turn video. So get used to it. That's all I have to say. That's my spiel.
We were looking at 3 to 5 signings this transfer window, guys. There's going to be another depth piece in there. So don't be surprised when there's a jersey turning and it's not somebody that you want it to be, because not everyone is going to be Mo Salah or Cristiano Ronaldo. In fact, they're probably not going to come at all. Mo Salah looks pretty close to joining Besiktas. So that's probably off the window or out at the window for the Galaxy right now. Anyway, that was a little fun thing to note, is that I like it, honestly. I like the jersey turning thing. I think it's about time we put something unique to it instead of just randomly dropping, "Hey, we made a signing." Like, build some hype. That's a good thing for a media team to do. That is a smart media team strategy.
For sure, both videos got over like 10K likes as well, something crazy like that. So it's working. It's gaining traction.
Yeah, even if it's just another depth piece like Robert Taylor, every player deserves one. Besides, like, a player coming up from VCFC is not going to get one. but like every player to sign for the Galaxy deserves one. And I think it's disrespectful to not give Robert Taylor one, but to give a DP one is like disrespectful to the player. So everybody deserves one, and hopefully the jersey distinction can kind of calm some people down. If the next one's a white jersey, I would expect it to be an interleague MLS trade. So I like it. It's our fun spin. It's our version of the hat thing. I'm sure they're not the first one to do that either. Every team, that has a good media team wants to hype up a player signing like that. So we're going to go into our match preview for St. Louis and San Jose. Gosh, let's quickly crank this out. We're pushing 2 hours already. LA Galaxy will play against St. Louis City SC tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. at Dignity Health Sports Park. The Galaxy will be without Edwin Cerrillo for yellow card accumulation. As always, everyone knew he's getting a yellow card in that rivalry match. I mean, water's wet. Eric Tommy is going to be out. As we mentioned, he went out in around the 30th minute of that match. So probably expect to see Harbor Miller get a start. Or Ruben Ramos Jr. No, just kidding.
No. Don't even joke about that.
Anyway, you could see that for the Galaxy as well. St. Louis are coming off a win against their rival Sporting Kansas City, who had a late comeback attempt, but unfortunately, Dejan Joveljic wasn't enough to, solve Sporting Kansas City's much bigger issues. And I guess when they're not playing the Galaxy, they don't know how to play football. But St. Louis have been a historically difficult team for the Galaxy to play against. In fact, I don't recall us ever beating
them. Yeah.
So this is one of the teams. In fact, this might be the only team the LA Galaxy have never beat besides San Diego.
Yeah, I think it's just St.
Louis.
St. Louis is just LA Galaxy's bogey team.
Yeah.
Last year we got close at their place. Peck had his brace, I believe, and then João Klaus had his brace. They went band for band, goal for goal over there. And it just didn't happen. And last year when they came to the digs, they blew us out. I'm pretty sure it was a 3-0 game or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Marcel Hartel, their star player, just turned us around and bent us over. So that's a player to look out for.
You're bending over tonight, man.
It's just in my vocabulary, I guess. I don't know.
It's just on your mind when you think of João Klaus.
Yeah. João Klaus hat-trick, that's right. So
yeah,
he won up Peck. I'm pretty sure Peck had a brace in that game. But anyway, Marcel Hartel, star player to look out for them. Another player to look out for is Simon Betcher. They're 9. He holds up the ball pretty well. He's a pretty big player. He's tall. He's pretty muscular. And he holds off players. So it's going to be a good matchup with Jakub Glesnes and Justin Hack. So I think that's going to be a good matchup. You're not wrong. But it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, Furuhashi's not going to be in. Eric Tommy's out. Edwin Cerrillo's out. We're pretty low on depth again. And it's not going to come better anytime soon. We're going to have low depth against San Jose as well. There's just something we're going to have to get used to for this next week. And hopefully Furuhashi's in. And hopefully by then Eric Tommy's back from injury. We'll have Edwin Cerrillo obviously back as well. And then soon we'll have João Klaus back. But we're just going to have to grind through these games, hopefully get some points out of it. Because if we lose both these games, then we're going to drop out of the playoff spot, and then fans are going to get rowdy, upset, and it's just not going to be a good mixture. So hopefully we can just get some points out of these games. At least, San Jose is a really good team, and it's also on the road. So I don't think we get any points there. Hopefully we can pull a win, minimum a draw. So, I'm predicting 1 point from these 2 games personally.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough team to play. Starting lineup, I think it's going to be surely. I don't think Novak gets the nod in goal if JT's ready. But it's only been a couple of days. Is JT ready to start playing again? I think they just start him. I think you have to. I would go JT and net. What I would do is different from what I think Vanny will do. So I would go Yamane at right back. I would go Harbor. And then, probably not anyway, because we have a missing winger. Eric Tommy's out. So Miki Yamane right back, Hack and Glesnes center backs, John Nelson, left back, by the way, had a stinker against LAFC. He was getting torched. I starting to have my doubts on if he's the guy at the left back position for the future, but we'll see. John Nelson, left back. I think you go Winder in the middle, Winder, Sanabria, and
God, we're that low on depth. We can't even get another midfielder. It's going to have to be Parente.
I hope not. I think at that point you move. This is bad. Yeah, sure. Isaiah Parente might be starting this match against St. Louis.
Are we missing one? There's no way we're that low on depth. We're going to Isaiah Parente as our next man up.
Somebody. Anyway, IGP, Sanabria, and Winder, the midfield trio.
Oh, you know what could happen? I think Justin Hack might move into the midfield, and then you have Yoshida starting. Yeah. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yoshida starting, great. Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Or maybe Garza's got minutes against LAFC, so maybe it's Garza's.
That's what I would do. I would like that better. I think you go Garces. That's a good point. I think you go Garces and Galesnes at center backs, and then Hack as a defensive midfielder with Sanabria and Winder at the 8, and then Paintsil, Miller on the wings, Miller left wing, Paintsil right wing with you go with Royce at the false 9.
I got one stipulation. I think you start Taylor at left wing, and then you bring on Harbor Miller, 70th minute, 60th minute, wherever the game's going. I think you need veteran presence, and he's now had a week under his belt training with the Galaxy, a week plus. So I think he gets a start personally, and it's good to get a start at home rather than San Jose doesn't have an atmosphere over there, but I think you'd rather have your debut starting at the home field rather than starting away at San Jose with their rowdy fans, which aren't very rowdy. But you'd rather the environment of the Galaxy rather than playing away at a rival stadium.
Might be the first time I've ever heard San Jose fans be called rowdy.
That's
rowdy in quotations. I honestly, it's up to Greg. I mean, if he feels that Robert Taylor has done enough and he knows the system well enough to start, then yeah, I think you do it. For me, I wouldn't. I would still go Harbor Miller. He didn't have a great game against LAFC, but it also wasn't a game that really suited his playing style. I think that if he starts this match and the Galaxy get out on the front foot, that he could. It just depends where Robert Taylor's at. If he hasn't, I don't think a week's enough for me personally to be like, yeah, I think naturally you want to give a guy time, especially considering that he's been injured as much as he has. He got released from Austin FC because of injury issues. And it's been something that he's been battling for a long time. I think you slowly ease him into things. You ease him into fitness. If he's not fully fit, I wouldn't be taking the risk on giving him heavy minutes. I would slowly incorporate him. So I would see Miller, but if Taylor is 100% and he's ready to go, sure, let him start the match. And then my prediction, I'm gonna go. Gonna go 2-0 loss. I'm gonna 2-0 loss. It's tough. St. Louis historically have just had the Galaxy's number since coming into the league. I think their play style is the Achilles heel to Greg Vanney, and it just doesn't suit. This matchup doesn't suit the Galaxy very well, and we haven't been able to get home points. This has been something that we've been lackluster at all year, is earning 3 points at home. Could we get a draw? Maybe. The St. Louis side isn't particularly good. I just need to see a lot more from this team to say that they're gonna win this match, let alone get a point. So, what do you think?
I'm gonna go a 2-1 win for the Galaxy. I think if you're going to get any points in this week, it's going to be tomorrow's game. And then also you got to think about the game coming up at San Jose on the weekend. So you're going to have to rotate. I believe St. Louis has a game on the weekend as well. So you're going to have to do some traveling. So, there's going to be some rotation at the end of the game. So I think Galaxy will snag one late. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win.
Who are your goal scorers then?
I'm going to go Marco Royce 1, and we'll go Winder goal.
Okay. All right. I'd like to see it. I think Royce had an off game, but against LAFC, but I'm sure he will get back to his regular form very shortly for the Galaxy. And then San Jose at the weekend, I believe Saturday, I want to say it is.
I believe so. I'll double check that.
At Stanford, they don't ever play these games at PayPal Park as of recent because they rely on the Galaxy for ticket sales. They rely on this match to sell tickets, sell jerseys, get fans over to watch San Jose. This is the match that they hype up. Starting lineup for this game, I think
it's probably the same, surely. Same as
I'll put Cerrillo in.
True, yeah.
I would put Cerrillo in for Hack, and then I'd move, depending on how Garces does. I predicted a 2-0 loss, so I think you move Garces out. I think you move Garces out and move him back to the bench, but Hack alongside Galesnes, and then you have Tommy's probably going to be out for a little bit, I'm assuming.
He's probably out for this road trip.
Yeah. So I don't think that Kyogo, I don't think he'll be able to play this match either. So I think you run it back with I do think you give him his first start. Robert Taylor gets his first start in this match. And I would move Harbor Miller to right back. I don't think this will happen, but I'd move Miller to right back, play him in his natural position, get him playing there alongside Hack and Galesnes with Ade. I would go Ade at left back. And then a midfield of Cerrillo, Winder, and Cerrillo, Winder. Who am I missing? I'm forgetting. Cerrillo, Winder, Sanabria. And then you go Taylor, Paintsill, and Royce at the false 9. So I feel okay about this match, surprisingly. I know San Jose is a team of doom and gloom right now to play against because of how good they've been. Who knows what they're going to look like after being off for a month and a half. Maybe that slumps their form a little bit. I feel like we play a bit better away this season than we do at home. I'm going to go for a wild one here. I think the Galaxy win. I think they win at San Jose. After losing against St. Louis. It's like every time Greg Vanney's job's on the line, they'll just get a massive win, and we're going to just repeat this cycle forever. So I'm going to go with 1-0, cheeky 1-0 win for the Galaxy. I think the lone goal scorer will be Marco Royce, and the Galaxy will come out of Stanford Stadium with all 3 points against all odds, against everything that should be. I think they win this game and lose to St. Louis. So what do you think, Tab?
I'm completely flipped from you. I think we win the St. Louis one. I think we lose the San Jose one. I think we lose San Jose 1-0. San Jose is extremely well right now. They have a really good form, and they play a system that's pretty similar to Galaxy. They have Bruce Arena at the helm, and he's playing ball with possession and possession with purpose. And similar to the Galaxy, whether you want to think of it or not like that, but it's pretty similar to Galaxy. And with Galaxy's lack of depth, they can't play the system they want to. And I think with that, San Jose is going to boss possession, and I think they'll get a goal. And then the Galaxy are going to have to, come out the shell a little bit more. And I think that's when they get the second. And then I think we'll get our one goal through just a pencil laid down in the game as a consolation goal. But I think San Jose won this game, unfortunately.
Wait, 2-1 or 1-0? I thought you said 1-0.
Oh, 2-1.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, on paper, that should happen. It's just MLS is a weird league. And the Galaxy's home form has been abysmal, but their away form, they've actually looked like a competent team. It's like being away from home, just everything starts to come together and they remember how to play. I think San Jose, Timo Werner, obviously the player to watch for them. He's been good for them this far. They just Bruce Arena, man. He always builds these contending teams out of nothing. There's no way this San Jose team that's been dead in the mud for like 10 years now just hires Bruce Arena and boom, you're back to near top of the West. I mean, unbelievable. Best coach in Major League Soccer history. Downright. Yeah, so I'm gonna go 1-0 loss, and I think Timo Werner will get the goal. Or not 1-0 loss, 1-0 win. Timo Werner won't score. There we go. That's my bold prediction. I'm gonna go against it. Maybe my brain's telling me wrong, but I'm gonna go against my brain, and I'm gonna speak with my heart.
You got the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other, just telling you things, and yeah.
2-1 for the Galaxy against San Jose. Lineup will probably look pretty similar, but third match in a week is not gonna go. One of these matches is just going to be a bit of a rotation. It'll probably be that game, just a bit of a mix. Or maybe they rotate tomorrow out of preparation for San Jose. That's all that I got, honestly, on those matches. Anything else? Any news you have left, Tab?
No, I've said everything I know.
2 hours and 5 minutes. A lot to talk about after El Tráfico. Did not think we'd be going this long, but new signings. We had an abysmal game to talk about. We got 2 games to preview, new MLS commissioner, everything's happening. And you can find it all here at Talkin Galaxy every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys coming out. Tab, where can people find you?
You can find me at Galaxy Runs over on Instagram, TikTok, and X. And I want to give a thank you. I hit 10K over the weekend.
Yes,
so thank you. So thank you to the G's. I couldn't have done it without you guys, and I hope I'm bringing you guys a content that you guys enjoy. So
thank you guys. Galaxy Runs LA over there on Instagram, or his brain rot TikTok account that is going to.
It's on the way. It's on the way. We're getting to 10K. I'm making money off it soon.
Yeah. Anyway, shout out Galaxy Runs LA. Congratulations on 10K. I think we should have a live watch along at the San Jose game. We should have that for you. I will be there. And as for myself, I'm Peyton_shot_it on Instagram for my photography. And you can find Talkin Galaxy on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Go follow us on TikTok. We'll have clips from this live stream for you guys. And thank you all in the chat. It's been a great ride, and hopefully we end up getting 3 points tomorrow.